Tennessee, the ESPN FPI prediction is out. Let me tell you something about that. For one, they're sort of accurate. Tennessee has been predicted at 8.6 wins, winning 8.6 games this year. That's a 36.9% chance of making the playoffs. Now, if you want to look for ESPN's history, if you want to go back to 2023, that's last year, their projected win total was 8.2 games, and Tennessee went 8-4 in the regular season. We are talking about regular season, not bowl games. 2022, ESPN was way off, 7.1 games, and Tennessee won 10 games. So they have been hot and cold with Josh Heupel. If you want to go to 2021, it was 6.6, and the Vols won 7. So they've been basically on the mark 2 out of 3 years. All right. Are they on the mark with 8.6 wins this year, Caleb Calhoun?
No, but I understand why they're doing it, because I understand how the FPI formula works, and people can get mad at these formulas. These formulas aren't biased. They just can't quantify certain things. This is why the BCS had to do a bunch of different computer systems back in the day, because everything had to quantify different things. And the FPI formula uses a predictive measure of the players on offense and defense that you have based on what they've done in the past and who you expect to start and based on their experience, and does a predictive measure of how many points you would generate or not generate in a game. It's very analytical, probably the most analytical of all of them. It's the same way like in baseball, with Billy Beane, they're like, how many runs can we generate with this lineup, period? And how many runs do we need to get to the playoffs? That's how the FBI does it, FPI. They then throw in road games, neutral site games, and tiredness coming off buys, things like that. All of that goes into the play. I've told you guys this before, you can't factor in chemistry with things like this, and you can't factor in maturity from a week-to-week basis, which I think is going to favor Tennessee a lot more than it favors other schools.
Agree with that. We usually round up a lot of times with stats. So 8.6 would round up to 9, but you can't have 0.6 of a win. So I'm going to say they're predicting Tennessee with 8 wins. Okay.
We can go game by game.
Okay. But I want to go game by game, but it's 8 wins. If Tennessee just wins 8 games, pick a word to describe this season.
Disappointing. Hugely disappointing.
Yeah. I can't think of a word that's stronger than disappointing, but that's the word I would use. So how do you want to look at the schedule in terms of FPI? Do you want to look at the teams that Tennessee is most likely to beat, or do you want to go through
Let's just go team by team. Let's just go through the schedule real quick, and I'll give you the number, and you tell me if it's too low or too high.
All right, team by team, let's do that. If I agree with Caleb, here's what we'll do. We'll go, hey now, and then the old, that's crazy, if I don't agree with Caleb. So team by team, set me up. What do you got before we talk some David Sanders here in just a second?
All right, so we got Chattanooga. The FPI gives them a 99% chance to win.
Hey now. Yes.
Why not 99.5? I think they're too low.
Okay, whatever.
Right. Okay.
That's fine.
So NC State, they give Tennessee a 69.4% chance to win.
Hey now. It's almost a 70% chance to win. I'm fine with that.
I'm going to go 60%. I think this one actually is a little too high. But I think Tennessee wins, but I think NC State's going to be more difficult.
Okay.
All right, now this one's too low. Kent State, 98.5% chance.
Hey now. That's fine. It's 98.
If Chattanooga's 99%, then Kent State should be 99.5%.
Oh, okay. I guess. I haven't studied.
I'm taking this personal. If I'm Tennessee, I'm taking that 0.5% personal. Josh Heupel should run up the score just for that 0.5%. Okay, sorry.
Okay, we're getting to real teams next. What team's next?
Oklahoma, 40% chance.
Oklahoma, 40% chance. That's crazy. Here's where I would put it, because I think Tennessee's a better football team, but it's on the road. I would put it at 50-50.
I put it at 50-50. I could have gotten with like 45%. I think 40 is just that's giving Oklahoma a 60% chance, a filibuster-proof chance of winning this game. That seems a little off. I agree.
Agreed.
Arkansas and Fayetteville, 74.5%.
Hey now.
I will say I agree with that now, but Arkansas is one of those teams where things could come together or they could fall apart. So I think that number is going to change. I think we're getting to the point in the schedule where these numbers are going to change significantly when we get to these schools.
If it weren't for Josh Heupel's issues on the road to this point, I would have it too low and say it's at 85%. But I think there's questions about Heupel on the road, which puts it at 74.5% for now. Okay. So next, Florida. Tennessee has a 70% chance to win.
Hey now.
I think that's way too low. I think Florida should be 90.
I wanted to go higher, Caleb, but it's Florida, and Tennessee always messes the bet against Florida.
I think it should be 90 against Florida.
Good Lord, they found 3 hernias on one of their best players last year to lose to Florida. It seems like they look for ways to lose to Florida. That's the only reason I'm not going higher, or I would go 80% because I think that program is falling apart, and it happens later in the schedule, and I think Billy Napier will start to feel the pressure of that program. Who is up next? A very good opponent. 15 seconds brought to you by Varner Ford.
Limited 4x4, $67,950. 2017 Ford F-150 Raptor SVT, $41,950. 2023 Ford Escape ST line, $28,940. Varner Ford, built for the game.
Support our sponsors. That's why we're here. Varner Ford in Clinton. Love him. All right. Who's next, Caleb?
The most toss-up game of the year for Tennessee, Alabama, but Tennessee's only given a 42% chance to win that game.
Hey now.
I think that's actually very respectful. I thought it was going to be lower.
Wait, you think they have a better chance of beating Oklahoma than Alabama? Given the fact that Alabama is at Neyland and Oklahoma is on the road?
Yes, I guess that's my determining factor. But I think I'm going to say the same. I'm going to put it at 50-50 because I think that's the swing game. I think that I'm trying to look at this from a totally impartial view. But I think Tennessee beats Oklahoma, and I think the swing game to whether or not they get in the playoffs is Alabama. So I'll put that at 50-50.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I think it's actually the other way around. I think Oklahoma is going to be the determining factor, but I think it all is going to come down to NC State because if Tennessee gets past NC State, they're going to light up Oklahoma and go on a roll. But that's a different story, different prediction. So moving on.
Now you're talking chronologically. I was talking non-linear, but that's true. I mean, what would have happened in 2022 had the Vols lost to Pitt?
I guarantee you they're losing to Florida in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Who's up next?
All right, up next is Kentucky, November the 2nd. Tennessee's got a 79.4% chance.
Where is that game?
It's in Neyland.
That's crazy.
79%? I'll give them 70.
Really? You think it's too high?
Yes.
But wait a minute. You factor in the history of the Florida series, but you won't factor in the history of the Kentucky series?
Yeah, I'm going to go 70. It just feels too high.
Whatever. Maybe you're too high right now.
Right.
So, okay, next. Mississippi State, 83.5%.
Let me get you that answer. I want to remind you about our good friends at the Hemp House. After what Caleb just said, the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Use promo code HOOKED. That's HOOKED for 10% off. Hemp House chat with 2 T's. Hemp House chat with 2 T's.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. So where were we?
Mississippi State, 83.5%.
Hey now.
Got no argument with that. They could hold that on
the
the
moon.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, and you guys can call me crazy. Kentucky and Florida, they should have a better chance of beating the Mississippi State. So if you think it's 83.5% for Mississippi State, you think it should be 90%. Then it should be 90% for Kentucky.
You like State's coaching staff, and I do too, but I think they're going to have to upgrade in talent.
I do think they will, but I think they can catch Tennessee off guard because right after them, Tennessee's got to focus on Georgia, and this is Tennessee's worst percentage chance to win. It's in Athens. They have a 20.6% chance of winning this game.
Not 26, 20.6. A 1 in 5 chance. They play 5 games in Athens, and Tennessee wins 1.
I gotta say I agree.
Hey now.
I can't argue with that. I'm not saying that Tennessee can't upset. And I think 20% for a program that's at its peak like Georgia on the road is not bad. I mean, I'd be curious what Alabama is if they played at Georgia. You know, they've messed around. They monkeyed around with the schedule so much. I don't know if they're playing at Georgia, if they're playing. But what's the best program in the nation? Michigan, Ohio State, Texas. I mean, what program would walk into Athens and have a much better than 20% chance of winning against the Bulldogs and what we've seen in the past couple of years?
I don't think anybody. I agree. I don't think anybody. So, yeah, I think 20% is totally fair. And honestly, Georgia has the other part is matchups. Georgia is built on elite cornerback play. I mean, elite cornerback play, the way Alabama was. That's how you stop this Tennessee team. If you have cornerbacks fast enough to hang with the receivers down the field, that's how Tennessee's offense gets screwed, right?
Yep. All right, Caleb, who's next?
All right, two more. So UTEP, 95.8% chance. That might actually be too low.
Hey now.
I'll take it. You get in the 95s, 99s. It's a team you're going to pummel.
All right, now this is one that's too low because they're considering it a road game, and this is what the FPI can't take into account because it's not a road game. Vanderbilt. Tennessee is given an 85% chance to win that game.
An 85% chance?
84.9 to be exact.
Well, I mean,
they're like, that is total bullshit.
That should be like 95.
That should be 95. They're saying Vanderbilt and Mississippi State are almost equal type of games for Tennessee. They're not, guys. Mississippi State's harder.
No, I think Mississippi State would be hard. I think Mississippi State's harder than Vanderbilt. I think Mississippi State's harder than. That's a coin flip. Kentucky. I would take it as a coin flip, but I do think Mississippi State's going to be good long term.